So today we're talking about solids. Does anybody know, if I'm talking about solids, what does that mean? Either an example of a solid or like an explanation of what a solid is. This will be the first time this year we've really mentioned any of these kind of shapes.
I would guess a solid would be like this table.
Yeah, that table is a solid. The book is a solid. I agree with that. What makes those be solids? Anybody?
You like with liquids, which are the opposite of solids, your hand can go like through, like they're weak.
Okay.
Solids are like much stronger, and it takes force to get something through them.
Okay, so you got, that's true. You're in a science explanation, which is true, but I'm looking for more of a math explanation. So we're not thinking like solid, liquid, gas, that is true. That is the meaning of solid. But in math, there's certain shapes that are called solids because they like do a certain thing.
Like flat shapes?
Okay, they aren't going to be flat shapes. So everything we've done to the point we're at this year has been able to be drawn on my board pretty easily. Triangles and circles and things like that. Those aren't solids. 3D shapes. Okay, so they're 3D shapes, which means they take up some
Area.
space. So if you have a 3D shape that takes up space, you have a solid. And there's a lot of examples of solids that you have experience with in your life that have names. Can anybody name me a type of solid?
Rectangular prism.
There is a thing called a rectangular prism. Do you see anywhere in this room something that is a rectangular prism? Yeah, this box that I pulled down off the shelf is a rectangular prism. Your book is pretty close to being a rectangular prism. I would think the tabletop is pretty close to being a rectangular prism. A computer, like the computer box, is pretty close. The VCR over there, the DVD box. The thing under the computer, that sound amplifier box, my filing cabinet, a lot of the lockers, the board, because it has a little bit of a thickness, I guess you could argue for that. But there is a thing, a solid, called a rectangular prism. So it's close to the word rectangular, or rectangle. You just go U-L-A-R at the end. Prism is P-R-I-S-M. And in my box that has many languages on it, that says geometrical shapes, Querpos geometricos, I'm not sure what language that is, Figure geometrique, that's definitely French, Corpi geometrici, I'm guessing is like Italian maybe this is Spanish, I don't know, but this geometrisch corper with the dots on the O, that's probably German, but we've got a box of shapes here. Somewhere in this box there is a rectangular prism. You said the name. Can you spot which one that would be?
This one.
It is that one right there. So we'll take these back over to the camera. This would be a rectangular prism. So you're not going to have to ever do this for points, but I'll show you how to draw a rectangular prism. I'm not very good at art, but if I can do it, you can do it. To draw a rectangular prism, draw a rectangle, any size or shape of a rectangle, and then draw another rectangle that's the same size and shape that overlaps with it, kind of like the Olympic ring logo. If you watch the Olympics, they have those like intertwining rings. You kind of draw intertwining rectangles, and then just connect the corners. So I have two paired rectangles matching each other, and then I'll connect up the corners. That's not the best picture, but that's a way to do it. Okay, this drawing is kind of freaky because if you stare at it, your eye and your brain can work together, either accidentally or on purpose, to kind of like turn it inside out. Okay, so you could envision that my box is open right here so that I could like roll a ball into it from the bottom. But then you can kind of turn the box inside out and imagine that this is the part that's open and facing you. And for my ball to go in there, I'd have to like throw it into the top. I don't know if your eye and brain can do that switch like mine is.
I did. That hurt my brain.
It's sort of, if you're looking at it and you want to do it, you can do it, but sometimes you're just looking at it and by accident the box almost like switches on you, like it became alive. So if you don't want your box to come alive, here's a better way to do the drawing. Draw your first rectangle solid to be the front. When you draw your second rectangle, do the top and the back that's like behind it solid. And then do these other two sides as dotted lines that are like hiding behind the board. So we still have the two overlapping rectangles, but two of those lines that are hidden behind the board go dotted. And then when you connect corners, the tops would be visible, the right side that's like sticking out would be visible, but then this would have to be behind the board and be a dotted line. That's probably a better drawing of a rectangular prism, and now your brain doesn't want to like turn it all inside out anymore. Another shape we have.
I choose 2, I choose 1, triangular prism.
There is a triangular prism. So that's your idea. I'll bring you the box. Can you spot it?
Oh, no. Just spot it.
It is not. And that's not. That's not.
I see so many triangles.
That is. Okay, so let me take the box back. Alright, so I said yes to this shape. I said no to this, no to this. I said no to this. I think I said no to this. Even though these all do have triangles, and I understand the crisis there, these all do have triangles about them. None of those is a triangular prism. What makes this be the one that's the triangular prism?
It's all triangle. Well,
Not really, no, that's not. Anybody, what makes that be a triangular prism?
it's like longer, or I'm
Yeah.
not. It's like it's like the same shape as a 10, but I'm not like.
That's
sure.
true.
I see
It has rectangles.
It can have rectangles. I would say the prisms probably all do have rectangles, but what makes this different than, say, this?
not the cone.
Not exactly.
Never mind.
It has 2 triangles.
Yeah, the front and the back are triangles.
That's what I was
It's like a triangle that kept going permanently as a triangle shape. This has a triangle shape, but it doesn't have like the matching back. To be a prism, you need a front and back that kind of match each other with some continuation. That's a triangular prism. In my box, I have some other things that are, there's one more triangular prism. Just sort of like point to it.
It's the one that's the red and green one.
No,
I
this
found
is
it.
not.
It's that block of wood.
It's the block of wood. Yeah, this block of wood is another triangular prism. There are other shapes in here that are prisms, but they're not triangular prisms, and we're not going to learn about those. But you see something else that's a prism?
Oh, no. But
Another prism?
you see something else.
Let me draw you the triangular prism, then we'll go back to the box. So for a triangular prism, and there's not going to be a quiz on these where I'm going to like grade your drawings, but if you can draw them, it will at some point benefit you. To draw a triangular prism, draw a triangle, and then draw a matching triangle somewhere else in space. We'd want to try to go same size, same shape, face the same direction kind of triangle. And then just connect the similar dots, corners, corners, corners. That's not terrible, but it's not best. Why is that again not best? For the same reason this wasn't best.
Because you can like switch sides.
It's gonna like maybe turn inside out on itself again. So we would solve that with dotted lines. So you would like draw yourself the front. When you go to draw yourself the back, we'd be able to see the right side, but we're never gonna be able to see the left and the back the way that I'm drawing that. And we want these to be twins. And then we can see tops, and we can see rights the way I'm drawing them. But we're not gonna be able to see the left side that's like the back side is hidden behind there. That's a better triangular prism drawing. Okay, but again, the idea of rectangular prism is front's a rectangle, back's a rectangle, and it just like sort of pushed through. Front's a triangle, back's a triangle. It just sort of pushed through. Those are prisms. I have in my box a couple other prisms, but I'm not gonna draw them or name them because they're not in our book. But there are, I see 3 more prisms in here. There's no circular prism.
Octangular prism.
Yeah, like where do you see it?
The
See another prism?
I see a prism, but I don't know what it's called.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I wanna
6,
call
7,
it
8,
like
9,
a-
10, 11.
Like a hexangular prism?
Like where am I though?
Like there, that one.
This one?
Yeah.
I'd agree with that. So this has 6 sides. The front kind of like pushed through to match the back, front and back match. That has 6 sides, so that would be something with hex prism, probably hexagonal prism. I'm not going to draw that. Obviously, I mean I could. What would I have to draw? Hexagon solid, another hexagon that's semi-dotted, and then just connect everybody. But that's going to be a complicated drawing. It's not in our book. I'm not going to worry about that one as much. What else? There's another prism. Or 3.
Cylinder.
We'll get to cylinder in a second. Let's just pick out the prism.
I think there's another rectangular, oh wait, no, that's another hexangular prism.
Where are you looking?
It's the wood one, that's that one.
Yeah, the wood, that is another hexagon kind of prism. So we'll pull that out. Another prism.
the octagon one is like at the bottom.
Yeah, this thing at the bottom, that's an octagon that like pushed through in prism sort of fashion. Front, back, octagons. So probably like octagonal prism, something like that would have to be the name of that. There's one more prism.
The wood octagon?
Yeah, there's a wood octagon prism in there. So those are those. Cylinder you said, where's the cylinder?
Like that one.
1, 2, 3, 4,
4.
4. Okay, so pull that one out. A cylinder, that's probably the one a minute ago somebody said circular prism. That would be a fair name for that probably, but it's called a cylinder. You know, it's a circle that like push through to make another circle. So if you have basically a can, any can is basically a cylinder. So for drawing that, am I still on camera if I'm here?
Yeah, you know.
So let's make sure I'm drawing on camera. To do a cylinder, I'd say draw yourself like a circle for the top that you could see looking down on it. Do some sides. Do a matching circle for the bottom that you could see half of it, but half goes behind. So something like that. That's a semi-fair drawing of a cylinder. I wouldn't draw a pure circle because when you look at a circle, not like dead on, but you look at it at any kind of angle, it kind of looks like an oval. So probably an oval for the top, an oval for the bottom, connect them with the straight sides, but that's a cylinder. What else you got? Anybody know any more names? Thanks. There's a cube. Where's our cube? Toward the left or toward the right? Or did it just roll away?
The right.
It's the right. Is it lower, upper?
It's up. It's
Upper.
like
So
that
there's
one,
my
yeah.
cube. Put this thing back together, maybe.
Did it break?
No,
I think we're still good.
my best friend.
Okay, a cube is actually a type of rectangular prism. It's a rectangular prism where everything is the
There.
same. So to draw a cube, we're going to go draw a square. Then we're going to do the other square, but with half dottedness. And then just connect the lines. Again, the cube, if you don't do dotted, it's going to turn itself all inside out on you. Cube. How about, let's go back to these. These are all in the same family of shape.
Code.
No.
I wasn't gonna talk about that because I don't know.
Pyramid.
Pyramid. Think Egypt. So pyramids you could draw a lot of ways. Some pyramids have a triangle on the bottom. Some pyramids have a square on the bottom. This pyramid has an octagon on the bottom. So there's a lot of ways that you could draw pyramids. But for a triangle pyramid, let's say it's a triangle where 2 of the sides are poking out at you. where the third side is hidden behind. There'd be a top of the pyramid, and I just need to draw down. So that would be like a triangle-based pyramid. If I wanted to draw a square-based pyramid, I'd probably want to go more like a rhombus. I think I could see probably 3 of them. A point at the top, so there'd be a front coming like at you, another front coming at you. The back would still be like semi-visible because life is like weird, but that would be like a decent maybe square-based pyramid. I'm not going to even try to get into like having an octagon at the base, but you would draw the shape for the base and then draw the top and just draw it down, but hide some of it with dottedness. Well, you keep yelling cone. Cone is in here, but it's in there. Ball. Let's do the ball first because he's running away. The ball is a sphere. So SP, I might be out of range there, so let me squeeze sphere in here. SPHERE. To draw a sphere, do a circle, and then do what I did with the cylinder. Go like this coming out at you as like a belt, and then do a dotted back. So that would be the way to draw yourself a sphere. Where's the cone?
Between the two off
Between those two weird things. So to do a cone, you could either go like a gym class cone, where the point faces up. Go a little bit of an oval like I did for the sphere, with a dotted back, like a dunce cap.
Yeah, I was just thinking about
Part
that.
New Year's Eve hat, you know, whatever you see there, or gym cone, or a driving head cone, or whatever.
Spike.
Or you could go ice cream cone. You know, do the V for the ice cream cone first, and then oval top, so that, you know, you got your ice cream ready to dump in there. Either of those is a fine representation of a cone. Is this a repeat or something else?
Repeat.
It's a repeat. What is that?
Cylinder.
It's a cylinder. I don't know what that is. It looked like it was headed toward being a
Prism.
cone, but then somebody like knocked the top off of it, so I'm not sure what that's called. Maybe that has a name, but I don't know what that is. This reminds me of like a soccer ball.
Hexagon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is called, honestly, and I'm not going to try to draw that. And this would be a similar kind of a thing, but I'm not sure what that is. I know there's a thing called a dodecahedron, but I don't think that's what either of these are. Like those, if you ever play games with like crazy dice with like all kind of crazy tons of sides to them, that's kind of what these are like, but I'm not.
I think that the triangle one, the one with like the triangles on it, and that was in your right hand, I think that might be it. With that giant dice.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but
I'm honestly not sure either. I do know there's a thing called a dodecahedron, but I'm not sure what that is. I think it's more stuff than those are. It has deck in it, so I'm thinking there's something about pens in there. But anyway, long story short, there's a list of the shapes and their pictures in our book that you don't have to necessarily like super memorize these. But the words that matter to us, that we'll make the quiz Monday, some of them I'll draw you the shape and you would say the word. But if I draw you the shape, you should know and be able to spell for Monday: sphere, cone, cylinder, pyramid, cube, rectangular prism, triangular prism. On the board, those 7 matter to us. The other thing that matters to us is some words. So these shapes have pieces, so let's talk about that. If I start talking about a flat part of one of these solids, does anybody know what that's called?
The side.
It's an F word that's not a swear word, but it is 4 letters. 4-letter F non-swear word.
Font.
Front?
No, that's 5 letters.
Oh yeah.
F-A.
Fart.
Sometimes people will say the blank of a building, like the flat
Oh, face.
face. Okay, so the flat spots are called faces. So all of these solids have different amounts of faces. This one, how many faces would there be to this? 6. Describe them somehow. How's there 6?
There's a rectangle one that like is in the front.
So there's a front. Okay, front 1,
There's a back.
back 2,
Bottom.
bottom 3,
Top.
top
And then
4,
the 2 sides.
right, left, up to 6. So rectangular prism, 6 faces. Cube, also 6 faces. It's basically the same. Triangular prism, not 6 faces.
5.
There's 5. There's the like right and left, the way I'm holding it now, and then there's like a front, a back, and a bottom. There's 5 faces to that. How about this pyramid? Okay. 4. There's like 3 around there, and the one on the bottom, there's 4. Let me grab my octagon prism. 10. There's 8 for the octagon around the sides, plus like front, back, 10. This one, people start to get a little argumentative about. I would say this has 2. Top, bottom, but I'm not going to ask you questions about ones where some of it is like circular, because then you get into a whole debate with people about that. But the flat stuff is going to be faces. Question about counting faces and what that means. What's another thing you might want to count other than the flat parts?
Corners.
Count the corners. We'll get to that third. Before we count the corners, what's another thing we could count?
Round.
The sides.
I don't know what you mean by sides,
Like
but
the.
Inside.
I'll say the segments.
Yeah.
So each of these pieces that I drew, every time I moved my chalk in a straight way, I drew a segment. So at some point, there's these segments, these lines where the faces meet. So when this face meets this face, we create a line that's called an edge. Okay, so if I go to count edges, counting edges is the same as counting how many segments did I draw. So if I go to this, how many edges, how many segments did I have to draw when I drew my rectangular prism? It is not 8.
16.
It is not 16.
12.
It is 12. How's it 12? What did I draw when I drew my rectangular prism?
There's 4.
4 for the front,
Yeah, and then for the back.
4 for the back, we're up to 8,
And then you gotta go all around.
and then I gotta go 4 connections to get up to 12. When I drew this pyramid, how many edges did I draw when I drew that pyramid? 6. I did 3 for the bottom, and then I came down 3 sides. This pyramid had 6. This pyramid was different because it had more stuff at the
8.
bottom. This has 8. 4 for the bottom and 4 down the sides. This crazy octagon prism,
10.
16.
16. We have 8 segments for the bottom, and then 8 more to like touch each corner. That would have 16. I don't know. Question about edges? Then the corners are called vertices or vertexes. So let me write these words off here just so they're. Face is the flat part. Edge is the segments where they touch. And then one of these corners is called a vertex. If there's a bunch of them, you can either call them vertexes or you can call them vertices. But if it can poke your eye out at a corner, that is a vertex. So corners, vertices, vertexes, whatever you want to call it.
Same here.
Yeah, I see that. What would be our count on vertexes here?
8.
8. There's 4 corners that you can see right now on the front. And then if I spin it, there's a matching 4 on the back. So this has 8 vertexes. How about this thing?
3.
6.
4.
4. 3 that are facing you. And then the 1 in the back would make 4. How about this one?
5.
5. 4 that are facing you. 1 more in the back makes 5. This one,
9.
9. 8 facing you. 1 in the back.
4.
4,
6.
6. 3 front, 3 back. he's got it, but he's jumping in. Anybody need me to explain more about how to count, how many edges, how many faces, vertices, what those words mean, anything like that? Lots and lots of shapes. I'd say check the video whenever you get time. You only caught the tail end of that. So what we learned about in summary, there's shapes called solids. Solids are 3D shapes that take up space. They're things that we can like handle, like a ball is called a sphere, or something that's like a soup can looking thing, that's called a cylinder. So we talked about what they're called, how we could draw them. Some of these drawings you notice, I drew some dotted stuff. The dotted is for like what you can't see. So like the solid lines are like coming out at you, but the dotted stuff would be hidden. You know, if I hold this up to you, you can't see the back of it right now. It's like invisible. My big cabinet here is a solid. You know, we can see the top and you can see the side, but none of us can see the back corner. It's hidden by the shape, so that would be drawn as a dotted line. Monday, there's a page to do for Monday that I'll tell you right now. Monday we'll take a quiz. It's all the lessons this week, including this one where you'll need to know some vocabulary. I would draw you the shape, and then you would do the spelling of the word. You might need to practice spelling prism. You might need to practice spelling pyramid or cylinder. Those are not the most fun words in the world. And I'll also ask you some questions like, hey, for a cube, how many faces do you have? How many edges do you have? How many vertices do you have? Things like that. Or I might just ask you what for the words. You know, what's the flat part called? That's face. What are the lines called where the faces meet? Edges. What are the corners where the edges meet? Those vertex. So to know those words would be a thing. Where we are homework off of this is at page 212. So 212, we're just going to do all of it. So there's some letters there. The letters have to do with shapes, edge, face, vertex, you know, that kind of stuff. And then the 1 to 25 will kind of like summarize everything we did, serve us a little bit of a review. Monday, we'll talk about the page 212 for a little bit, and then we'll take a quiz. There won't be Monday homework because the quiz will take up most of that period. Yep.
Can I take that again?
Sure. Can you shut down the record?